Hey, peace. What's happening, everyone? On our deal with.
Ooh, yeah. Nah, nah, nah.
Suddenly there came a sound from heaven, as of a rushing mighty wind, like the rushing of a mighty wind, like the rushing of a mighty wind. Come and fill our hearts again, like the rushing of a mighty wind.
Yeah, blessings. Once again, you know the routine. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. All of that helps. So you don't know. Without any further ado, let's get started.
Well, American Dream just called in just now.
He did?
That's
yeah,
what's
American Dream. What you got, brother, to contribute?
Hey, peace to you, Ron. Peace to the panel and to the chat.
And to you,
Peace to everyone. I hope that's not too disagreeable, but peace.
And unto you, peace.
Man, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming and trying to build with us. You know what I mean? Basically, if you probably was here the whole, hour and a half when I was talking, I think I basically got it all out. I'm just trying not to be letting y'all know that, when you're a Pan-African or FBA, that's like on two different things. You could be a Pan-African FBA. I would just say, got to make sure you put that FBA first and foremost. It's got to be first and foremost. And, of course, you can have love for the rest of the diaspora. And also, I want to let you know that, delineation.
He's not Pan-Africanist, by the way. He's a Jamaican conservative. Jamaican American.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a Pan-Africanist.
You're not for all the black diaspora.
I think the extent of my Pan-Africanism is, is just about supporting each other. In terms of the fact that we have a shared heritage. A lot of the Jamaican customs do come from Jamaica. A lot of all the Caribbean customs do come from Jamaica. I think we can even trace some African American customs back to Africa. Back to Africa. And so, if Pan-Africanism is about celebrating those similarities, I'm all for it. But, if Pan-Africanism is about ignoring your American nationalism for some other type of African statehood and building up Africa, then I'm not for that. I don't support that for Black Americans. And I mean that in terms of, and when I say Black Americans, I'm not just talking about FBA. I'm talking about FBA, Black Caribbean Americans, just anyone here that identifies as Black.
Yeah, but Black Americans.
Yep. Hell yeah.
I think Brother Ron was saying something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was saying, when he says Black, and I'll just adding in, like, you mean Black American.
American Dream,
American
excuse me. Were you born here in the U.S. or born in Jamaica?
No, I was born on the island, man.
Okay, you're born on the island. Okay. For transparency, I was born here. Both my parents, Kingstonians. My maternal grandmother, St. Mary. My paternal grandmother, St. Catherine. My paternal grandfather, Spanish Town. And my maternal grandmother from India.
Who's this, Tiger Crane?
Yes, it is.
All right, I got my eagle claw ready.
All right. You have to bear in mind, like with what you said, with the FBA, they're talking about specifically their genealogy. And that's no knock to what you say, Black Americans, and you're including Caribbean Americans. Here's the thing. For the last 6 decades, Caribbeans in general and Jamaicans as one example, textbook example, Jamaicans, and I put that in quotes, haven't actually carried your words into practice. a lot of times it's been the opposite. I know from experience, I've seen it. One of the things with New York, and when I
haven't carried what into practice?
Those things are, well, there's Black Americans and Caribbean Americans. It's like the Jamaica's motto, this out of many one people thing, generically, that's what to me, that's what I'm interpreting from your comment. You may not have meant it that way, but that's how it sounds.
Yeah, I think I was trying to explain what Pan-Africanism was.
Okay, but Pan-Africanism, and not saying you're incorrect with that, because Pan-Africanism, I haven't seen anything materialize out of it that Black folk, FBA, Caribbean alike, or as well as Africans have benefited from. If anything, it's been a detriment.
Can I try and share something that I think they have benefited from through Pan-Africanism?
Please do.
Because, I think FBA tries to take credit for it, but I actually think it was the civil rights movement in terms of getting immigrants here, in terms of getting specifically Black immigrants here, was a Pan-Africanist. It was Black Americans who were native Black Americans who were supporting this form of Pan-Africanism, but it was from the senators that voted for that civil rights bill were themselves Pan-Africanists who identified as Pan-Africanists, and the populace at the time, the Black populace at the time, were more Pan-Africanist than anything else, and they had that strong connection with Africa, and that included the Caribbean Blacks that were here. All of the diaspora Blacks that were here in America were pushing for this civil rights bill through a Pan-Africanist mind view or mindset. So in my estimation, that's something concrete that Pan-Africanism can take credit for.
Do you think that is an improvement?
And I think it's more a Pan-Africanist accomplishment
Let
than
me
an
challenge that
FBA
right there.
accomplishment.
Stop. First of all, the civil rights movement had nothing to do with Pan-Africanism, right? Pan-Africanism origin. That's something that you guys tethered on to a little later. And I say you guys are talking about Pan-Africanism, whether it's FB or not. That's something that we can say you hijacked. So I agree with you, by the way. I actually agree with you. I agree that, and I'm not one of those FBAs that try to act like we promoted immigration. I say the opposite. I say we didn't. So if anybody was promoting Black immigrants, I agree with you. It was probably Pan-Africans. So, but I disagree with you thinking that FBA in general take that position. So I actually agree with you that Pan-Africanists is probably the main ones pushing for Black immigrants and immigrants, period. And it wasn't.
You disagree I'm sorry, you disagree that FBA take the Pan-Africanist position as a whole?
Well, again, bro, listen. You're saying FBAs. How many?
No, I'm just trying to be clear on what you're disagreeing with.
I know that some might. I'm saying I know that some might, but you say FBAs, that's including me too. I'm like, oh. No,
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what you said you disagree with me on.
Agree that's the FBA approach that we
Pan-Africanism.
That we claim that we were helping Black immigrants and immigrants in general, specifically to get over here. I'm saying that's not the FBA approach. I'm sure that some folks may make that claim and they're wrong. I think
Tariq does make that claim though.
It don't matter who you 43 minutes. Wait, stop. Don't matter what name you shout out. Okay, you can say Jesse. Listen, I'm just saying, whatever name you throw out, that's fine. But that was not the origins of what we were doing. Okay, even go back to Frederick Douglass, because the civil rights, now you won't know this, but civil rights did not start with Dr. King. It was way, way back with Dred Scott, Biddy Mason. It was way, way, way before. It was like the 1850s and even probably before then. So, and we got civil rights, by the way, 1866. So, you got to know a little bit about the country. So the civil rights movement, the early one, the 100 years later, that was about federal protection. Because we already had civil rights. It just was for men, not the women. And we were arguing for federal protection that guaranteed, hey, the states are not implementing our constitutional rights, our state rights. They're like violating it. So we were campaigning for civil rights under federal protection, and then we extended it to women and people regardless of race, nationality, ethnicity, things like that. So it's been amended and more things were tacked onto it. But most of us were not campaigning for immigrants. We were the early one was we were campaigning for Black Americans, 100%.
Yeah,
So,
and I
so,
think
indirectly, I would say indirectly, immigration benefited from it indirectly, but they still owe some flowers and homage because without that whole movement, I know you didn't study immigration. I know you immigration. I studied the history of immigration, and I know that without what we did, the 1865 would have never, the Immigration Act would never came through. Therefore, we wouldn't be here in significant numbers today. You, Chinese people, and that's why Chinese people today give us hella flowers today. And Latinos and Latinas give us heavy flowers today. They know that, and really, Eastern and Southern Europeans, they're in denial, but they should be giving us heavy credit because there was quotas, restrictive quotas with them that was uplifted in 1965.
so. Let me if I could just ask,
Yeah.
can you hear me, Ron?
Yeah.
So I do know that the civil rights movement in terms of the immigration bill, the main reason, the main goal behind it was to fight against, because they felt that the immigration laws as they stood were geared towards European immigrants, and that it was geared from these people that saw America as a white country and wanted to keep America that way.
I stop you. The restrictive law was against all Europeans. See, this is babbling. It was against, I just said it, Eastern and Southern Europeans. The restrictive laws were for them. It wasn't for Northern and Western Europeans.
Right, but I don't know if that counters what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the immigration law, the way they were before.
No, okay, what I'm saying is 1965 immigration law had Europeans in mind first and foremost, because it ended the restrictive. Wait, it's not all Europeans, man. Like you got to make a distinction. You got to draw a line.
What I'm saying is before the reason the civil rights movement for immigration came about was because the immigration laws were more geared towards getting European immigrants here. There was a very few immigrants from, what we would call people of color here. And so the purpose for the immigration law was to increase the number of immigrants coming from non-European countries so that, to fight this idea.
You got to source that up. You just talking. Let's source that up. Because
that's my understanding of it, and that's why I find it to be a Pan-Africanist.
But you got to sort. You just talking. You got to source that up because I know that 1965 Immigration Act, it overrided the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, and it ended in 1917, 1924, which you know nothing about. It should come here. 1917, 1924 immigration restrictive quotas that was put on Eastern and Southern Europeans. It's specifically, it was just them. Okay, so
what did I say that you disagreed with, though?
It wasn't. The Pan-Africanism was not that was not a thought when they did 1965.
No, what I'm saying is Pan-Africanist.
No,
if I could just be clear, the
Pan-Africanism was a small, tiny. Bro, how many was Stokely Carmichael? Bro, you were at the back of the fucking line. You were okay, now watch this. When Dr. King had met up, I hate when these cosplayers like they know this shit. When Dr. King had set up strategies with other brothers in that room, they had a little think tank. Which one of those Shirley Chisholm, Stokely Carmichael was in that room? When they was strategizing how they gonna go about the whole civil rights movement, march, all that shit. Which one of those guys was in that room? Which one of those Pan-Africanists was in that room? So what I'm saying is you got on the coattail, Pan-Africanists got on the coattail of something that was already popping and thriving. And then, so from the back end, you try to raise your hand and throw in some Pan-African shit, but that was not the forefront of it. You're trying to make it the forefront. And I'm saying no. Like those folks were irrelevant, insignificant during the height of the movement, the strategy, the March on Washington, and none of those guys had nothing to do with that shit. You're talking about Dr. King, A. Philip Randolph. You're talking about those guys.
A. Philip
That was
Randolph
representing Black Americans only.
Was A. Philip Randolph a senator or something like that?
No, but he was definitely an immigrant restrictionist. All right, he was a civil rights leader that helped fight for labor with the Italians, labor rights, union rights, child labor, all that shit. Yeah, he's a true activist. He even spoke on Washington.
So Ron, just to be clear,
because I'm mentor of Dr. King. Well, I know. But hold on, I'm talking through my chat. He's also he's considered the father of the civil rights movement. By the way, y'all don't know. A. Philip Randolph is considered the father of the civil rights movement. He was anti-immigration, everybody, whites, blacks, Chinese, name it. Anti-immigration. And he was the mentor of Dr. King. That was his idea, March on Washington, way back when labor laws was being discussed. So he is the one that incepted that idea in Dr. King's head. And that's why he spoke there. He actually spoke there.
Adam Clayton Powell. You know who Adam Clayton Powell was?
Yeah.
He was one of the congressmen that voted for the immigration bill.
Okay.
And do you mind if I read something about him real quick?
Yeah.
Because I had asked ChatGPT, these questions about the Civil Rights Act and the immigration bill that was a part of it. And the question I asked, because I was specifically interested in the congressman, the Black congressman that voted for the bill, the Black American congressman that voted for.
Okay, understand where you're at. You're over here. You're an FBA counsel. When you say Black American, to us that means absolutely nothing. That's anybody Black in this country. So you got to be specific. FBA, don't forget where you're at. You're over here at FBA County. So
in those days, I don't think they made the distinction. The only thing they're identified is as Black congressmen. Like they don't really make the distinction.
This is why the boys kicking them off. Obviously, they were not saying African American. They were saying Black American. They were saying Negro and colored at that time. I'm saying today with us and where you're at right now. For us, I said us, this audience in 2025, not 1965, my boy. Us. When you say Black American to us, that means absolutely nothing. If you're not saying FBA, we automatically think that's a non-FBA Black person. So I said, you have to understand where you're at. You're an FBA county. This is 2025, fool. So you got to be very specific you got to cater to us in the language we use. So if you say Black American, African American, to us, that's non-FBA. So if you say a Black man in Congress, okay, that's a non-FBA Black man in Congress. So use our terminology or you're going to confuse us. Okay? So you called in our platform, so I expect you respect the platform and you use our terminology. I'm not sure if they all feminine or zesty. I'm not sure if they call themselves that. Yeah, they didn't call themselves African American either, stupid. That's 1960. That term ain't coming to 1990. They were saying Negro and colored.
All right, Ron. If you're gonna continue to call me stupid, I'm just gonna leave.
Well, I mean, all I'm asking you is this, real simple.
No, I mean, I don't see why you have to start calling me stupid.
I'm
like
saying
that seems just
random. Because you've been, I meet you, because you've been over here 1,000 times, bro. This ain't your first time. You've been here way more times than Tiger, and I knew Tiger longer than you. You've been here more times than him. You know. Okay, now if you refuse to say FBA, then say that. But then you gotta get off.
Okay, I'll say FBA.
Okay, so now the Black men in Congress, are they FBA or non-FBA?
Yes, they're FBA. Adam Clayton Powell, Charles Diggs.
Okay, go ahead. Charles Diggs, who else?
And Robert Nick Sr.
Okay. And what they do? And what year?
This is the year that the
What year? Just tell
I
me.
think it was 1965, the Hart-Celler Act.
Yeah, that's 1965. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so those are the three. And I asked them, were those congressmen Pan-Africanists? That's what I asked ChatGPT. And it says, yes, many of the early Black congressmen who supported the Hart-Celler Act, such as Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and Charles Diggs, were strongly influenced by Pan-Africanist ideas, even if they didn't all use that exact label. Then it goes into Adam Clayton Powell Jr.
I said they rolled the coattail. Like you ain't say anything different than what I said. I said the folks who popped off the Civil Rights March were not Pan-Africans. Neither was Booker T. Washington. They were not Pan-Africans. Okay, a small, tiny percentage of us were Pan-Africans. Tiny percentage of us were Pan-Africans. We really just wanted to be good in America. We didn't give a damn about somebody else and what they got going on and who coming in, who leaving. We just like, yo, make us good first, and you can invite wherever you want. This is how we spoke to our government. Make us good first before you start inviting randoms in this country, because we see the play. We see that you're gonna start history all over with them and create this brand new image. And then when we complain about you guys to these new folks, we're gonna seem crazy. Because now you got this brand new persona, you rebranding yourself as a fair man. To be like, hey, make us great. I mean, set us up correctly. It was right before you start inviting immigrants over here. That's all we asked. They didn't do that. Okay. But anyway, the guys you're reading about, these were not early activists. These are people in Congress who I know.
I was just specifically speaking to the Immigration Act, though, and my only point was that the Black congressmen around at the time that supported this act were Pan-Africanists. Like, whether or not Pan-Africanism was new to the FBA struggle, if you will, is irrelevant. My only point is that the congressmen were
it doesn't matter, because every bill that's passed, everybody knows this, even the 94 crime bill, you have Republicans sign off to certain shit. And the Democrats had let certain shit happen. Because so we already know every bill that pretty much passed, even Obama talked about this, every bill that passed, you gotta give way to the other side. So if Republicans want something passed, they gotta concede to some Democratic demands, and vice versa. Yes. So that's how it works. When something gets passed, the other party gonna say, "Hey, throw this in there, and we'll sign off." But just because you sign off to it doesn't mean you were for that. So just because the Biden and Obama signed off to certain things in the 94 crime bill doesn't mean that they actually agreed with that. Like the 3 strikes, that type shit like that, or the 2 strikes. That don't mean that they actually agreed with it. They just felt like it, because they're trying to address violence. They're trying to address domestic violence. They're trying to address weapon, violence by guns and extended clips in California. They're trying to address that. So
wait, are you saying? Hold on. Are you saying that that these Black congressmen supported the immigration bill, even though they didn't want immigration?
I don't know what they want. What I'm saying is the way bills work is that you sign off to something even though you disagree with it, because you get what you want out of it. That's how bills work.
If you had let me finish reading,
I don't know what they want.
Yeah, because I was gonna, I was reading, specifics about each congressman, and it said that they absolutely had Pan-African leanings. They had connections with African countries. So it wasn't just something that they were just doing to appease the other side. They felt like Pan-Africanism and having good relations with African countries was a part of their own agenda. This wasn't something they were accepting from the opposite side.
Okay, so wait. Okay, so now in 2025, how did that work out? These relationships with other African countries. How do Black Americans benefit from these early folks signing off to that?
Well, you can't really ask me to validate it, because from the jump we said I'm not a Pan-Africanist. Whether or not it worked out or not.
You're using guys. Okay, what you're trying to do is you're trying to appeal to authority. oh, Adam Clayton Powell in Congress, this person in Congress, and they signed off. Okay, fine. They signed off because, like you said, they felt like having great relationships with other African countries where somehow we're going to benefit from. So I'm asking, so now we're 60 years later. Can you show me how they were correct? Can you show me how what they did was justified?
No, I cannot. Again, I'm not going to justify it. The only question I was answering to was whether or not Pan-Africanists have anything concrete they could show. And I was just speaking to that and saying the immigration bill.
About that?
Now, whether or not Pan-Africanists, Pan-Africanism panned out doesn't really negate that.
How does it, no, but the question was, how's it concrete and beneficial for foundation Black Americans? How does the Immigration Act benefit us? So the question was in spirit of, how does it help us? Like what do they do to benefit foundation Black Americans? Not just what they do to, of course you can do whatever you want to do. I'm sure Larry Elder is benefiting somebody. It ain't us. So we ain't saying what are you doing concretely, randomly. We're saying, what are you doing concretely that benefited foundation Black Americans directly?
Well, I think before that bill, the numbers of Black Americans may not have been at 45 million, and I think that when the immigration bill and bringing in Black immigrants, it kind of increased the voting block of or the just the voting power of Black Americans in general.
How that help us?
How does it help you to increase your voting block?
Yeah. Okay.
It gives you political power.
Okay.
It gives you political power.
No.
I want you to listen very, very carefully.
It's all about life in the street. People are suffer, try survive in the heat. Bad mind them out you want hygiene a do it. That's why enough of them get rifle a beat. Everybody want big ups and want to drive in a Jeep. Every day I'm at the ball when she buy in a read. Not even 5 bills we can't find for the week. Me no see no changes, the same cycle repeat. Give thanks cause life it's a sweet. But keep a eye open every time you go sleep. Cause mankind jealous and them idle go late. Them never yet plant and not try figure rape. Bigger heads where you fight for the seat. Now cater about the future nor the child where you creep. Them a pray the fat Kyle we submit. The system will slide where you fit.
Inna the streets where we born and grow. Only Jah know and nobody know.
When we talk about ghetto life, talk about ghetto life.
Everybody a priest say them want it low. That's why them a speed and they pan the go.
Cause this a real ghetto life. This a real ghetto life. Yeah. Everybody just a pre-success. When me looking at the street, you me see enough stress. Them all a fight for who reach up next. Everybody want floss and a beat up chest. Juvenile in a them teen love sex. Them a pre the fast money, them no need subjects. And if you're unfortunate, please don't vex. Also the things said cause the streets don't rest.
Inna the streets where we born and grow. Only Jah know and nobody know.
When we talk about ghetto life, talk about ghetto life.
Everybody a priest say them want it low. That's why them a speed and they pan the go.
Cause this a real ghetto life. This a real ghetto life. Yeah. It's all about life in the street. People are suffer, try survive in the heat. Bad mind them out you want hygiene a do it. That's why enough of them get rifle a beat. Everybody want big ups and want to drive in a Jeep. Every day I'm at the ball when she buy in a read. Not even 5 bills we can't find for the week. Me no see no changes, the same cycle repeat. Give thanks cause life it's a sweet. But keep a eye open every time you go sleep. Cause mankind jealous and them idle go late. Them never yet plant and not try figure rape. Bigger heads where you fight for the seat. Now cater about the future nor the child where you creep. Them a pray the fat Kyle we submit. The system will slide where you fit.
Inna the streets where we born and grow. Only Jah know and nobody know.
When we talk about ghetto life, talk about ghetto life.
Everybody a priest say them want it low. That's why them a speed and they pan the go.
Cause this a real ghetto life. This a real ghetto life. Yeah.